Hello and welcome to the Tough Crowd. Where have we been? Man, I have been so crazy with work and visitors and other things that I just have not been able to get to recording a new episode. I tried to arrange to get an episode done with one of our other Tough Crowd members, but it's just very crazy coordinating schedules. I know everybody says that they're super busy. I guess everybody's busy. I'm a victim of my own success. With my job, I love my clients. I have two main clients. One I do most of my work for, and they've been super busy, and I end up putting out fires for them on a daily basis, as well as some other large projects. We've lost a couple of associates. So it's been sort of overwhelming, and I'm praying that it's coming back to a manageable level because I like to work a certain amount, not more than that, but it's hard to control when you have an established relationship with your clients. And I do like working for them. So I'm really trying to do that. The other battles I am fighting on a daily basis is I'm now on two no-fly lists. Now you think no fly list, you're thinking I'm banned from an airline for poor behavior, which I'm a rules follower, so that probably wouldn't happen. I've been banned from myteresa.com, which is a women's clothing, accessories, etc. website. I was banned from there after last summer when I ordered multiple dresses for Emma's wedding and had to return them because you can't find these gown type dresses in the store. So I returned multiple dresses, never found one from there that fit me. I ended up actually getting it from Neiman Marcus. We found a similar one in Newport, Rhode Island when I was traveling there with my friends. And they didn't have my size in the store, so I ordered it from Neiman Marcus, and that's where it came from. I loved that dress. I have that dress, and I'm sure I'll wear it again. But in the meantime, I've been banned from My Teresa. I violated their rules of operation. I forget whatever they say it is on the website. And I thought it was my browser that wasn't working, but apparently I'm banned because of the level of returns. So I say to them, get a store and I'll come into your store gladly and try on things there and maybe buy something. But now I can't buy anything from you ever because I'm banned. I don't know how long the limit of the ban is. I have no idea. So then this week I'm on a second no-fly list, Zara, which in all honesty, I don't really wear that much stuff from Zara anymore. I think the quality is not great, but every once in a while they'll be like, oh, this is a great dress from Zara. It's a dupe of this designer dress, or somebody will have something on that they'll say is from Zara. And I'll think, I want to try it. So multiple times I've done that. And then I end up, it doesn't fit. They don't have the other size. The fabric's not good. The buttons aren't good. They have a big problem with using very cheap buttons, which immediately makes your garment look cheap. So I have not, and I do have some Zara clothes in my closet still. I have some great jeans I've gotten from there. And I think I only got them last year. But I went to place an order for a couple of things that Natalie had said she saw on there or had from there when she was here. And it kept saying the rules of the website do not allow you to make this purchase. And I'm thinking, am I on the foreign website? Am I not on the US website? But I looked it up on Google and ChatGPT, and basically other people are in this predicament for returning too much. I think there are a lot of influencers who probably order a lot of things, try on for a fitting, for a try on session for Instagram, and then return them. And then I'm sure there's people like me who buy a lot of things and like, yeah, I don't like it. Doesn't fit me. But again, you can't go the store. The closest store to us is like an hour and 20 minutes away down in Miami. Or actually, there's one in Aventura too. But it's still a drive. Like I'm not going there, and I'm not inspired in the store. I don't like picking through stuff. Maybe if I went with a group or somebody who could focus me. but I'm banned from Zara. So I feel like it's a sign from God. Don't buy anything from Zara. And when I looked it up online, there's so many angry people about this rule. They're very angry. So I am just going to delete the app and I'm going to ignore them and I'm going to pretend it doesn't bother me because I probably honestly don't need anything from Zara. I have this new stylist that I did a wardrobe renovation with. I found her online. I did an online chat with her to decide if I was going to, be a good fit with her. She was fantastic. You do a FaceTime with her. She takes pictures of all of your clothes on the FaceTime and she puts them in this app and then she puts them together with items you already have, tells you what else to buy. And you have another FaceTime, try them on. She puts outfits, she's put in a capsule together for a trip I have planned. So I really, really liked a lot of what she did. It helped me focus on what I should be buying, what's not really my style, because I'm very swayed by, oh, that looks so cute on her. But okay, she's dark hair, totally different shape than I am, different coloring, different colors look good on her. And then I end up buying something that is really not for me. And she helped me figure a lot of that out. So I've really enjoyed that. And I'm trying to stay on the straight and narrow and try to use what I have, because now I have a lot of stuff that mixes and matches way better than one-off outfits. So that's been great. When Natalie was here visiting, she was here for an event, so I got to spend some time with her in Palm Beach. And the shopping in Palm Beach is really great. We go there a lot. They have very high-end stores, then they have a lot of they have some mid-range stores where average people can shop. And I had seen something that was from Polo Ralph Lauren that came across my Instagram. I'm an Instagram sucker. Anything on Instagram, I think, "Oh, that looks fabulous. I must have that skin cream, that tanning gel, that hairspray. I must have it." So I've been better about making sure it's not some Chinese website that's going to take me 4 months to get something, or a scam website. But in any event, I saw these things from Polo and we were on Worth Avenue. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to go into Ralph Lauren. And I know they have high end stuff, but I know they have like the bear sweaters and normal things there. So I went in and I said, there was a salesperson working in there and I said, I'm looking for this shirt. It has like a pinkish reddish stripe. It's just an Oxford shirt. And she pointed me to one, but it was linen. I said, no, it's more of like a regular Oxford shirt. And she said, no. And she's looking around. And then I pulled it up. I finally found it on my phone. And she said, no, 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 we don't carry that here. She basically said that's the poor people's Ralph Lauren. We don't carry that here. And I said, well, you don't ever carry any of this line. Never, ever, ever do we carry that. I pity you, person, for even wanting that item. We do not sell that here on Worth Avenue. I'm sort of making that part up, but it was very funny, and Natalie and I were laughing pretty hard about it after. No, 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 no. Never, ever would we sell that here on Worth Avenue. That is the poor people's Ralph Lauren. And it sort of amuses me because when Ralph Lauren first came out back in the late 70s, I think he came out. They were very popular back when I was in high school. It was expensive, but it wasn't crazy expensive like his designer area is now in the store. So I don't always think of it as super expensive. Obviously, if you're buying like an evening gown, but to me, an Oxford shirt's an Oxford shirt. So what do I know? So we were laughing at that. Then I had my wedding shoes, which just looking at them makes me cry, not because I'm sad about the wedding, but because they hurt my feet so much. Literally, I can't put them on. I had them on at the wedding, took them off for dancing, and never put them on again. My stylist put them with some outfits because they are beautiful shoes. They're pink with a Swarovski crystal buckle V from Valentino. I mean, They're gorgeous slingbacks. They're not that high, but the toe box of them is so low that it like crushes the knuckles on my toes. So unless I'm going to get my knuckles shaved down, I can't wear those shoes. I tried them on again with an outfit and tried to pretend they were okay, and I couldn't even walk across my bedroom without tearing up. So I'm going to sacrifice them and sell them at the RealReal. Now, the RealReal is an online website that sells higher end designer goods that they certify, authenticate, so that if you buy something there, theoretically, it's authenticated and you know it's real Valentino or Chanel, although they've had a lot of problems. That's a whole nother story. But better than like Poshmark, where I've sold a whole bunch of stuff, but it's way less expensive on there. They don't authenticate. So you don't know if you're getting something that somebody says it is. You have to guess. Brought my shoes, and so you can send them into the RealReal or you can bring them to the store. They happen to have a store on Worth Avenue. So if you send them in, it takes 3 weeks to process. You don't know where they are, what the process is. So I thought, I'm just going to bring them into the store because I'm going to be right on Worth Avenue. We're staying down there. Bring them in. Well, the snobby salespeople in the RealReal is quite incredible. So they were very impressed by my shoes. That's the only thing that gave me any street cred in there was my shoes. But they're just major snobs. And they sort of look at you like, aren't you lucky to be shopping in our used clothing store? And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, you're working in the used clothing store. So who are you to put your nose up at us when we're potential buyers of the store that is paying your salary? I find that quite amusing. That's a common theme down there. And I understand because there are a lot of tourists that go in there and I'm sure have no intention of buying anything in there. We don't go in stores unless we think we might be interested. Like, we're not just wandering around Chanel picking up all the bags unless we're actually thinking of buying something in there. We're dressed appropriately, we're acting appropriately. So we just find it sort of comical that these people are that snobby. No, 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 we do not carry that here. That is the poor people's Ralph Lauren. You might be directed to Macy's or some other lowbrow outlet. They didn't say that, but I'm making that part up. But I found that really sort of amusing. The other battle I was fighting at home was my dishwasher. All of a sudden it stopped working. I pushed the button. Some of the buttons had fallen off, the covers on the buttons. It was really in its last days. And I've sort of known that for a while. And because I was here with nobody else for a few days, I had a full dishwasher and had not run it. So it sort of gets gross of thinking I need to run it, push the button next morning. Nothing's happened. And I'm thinking, oh, I didn't push the button right. So long story short, over the course of, a day or so, I realized it's really not working. It's not taking water in. It's just sort of humming. My friend's boyfriend says, oh, yes, he does a lot of this stuff. He can possibly fix it. He comes over, says it's this part. We order the part. It comes in. Still not working. He says he has one more part he's going to try. Very nice of him to even attempt. So I'm thinking, all right, one more part. I think she's dead, but let's try it. Brings it over. No, it's leaking water. It's just no good. So H and I go to Lowe's to buy a dishwasher. They have 30 different types, which is sort of my worst nightmare because I like to study every aspect on all the cards. What do all the numbers mean? What do the ratings mean? Why shouldn't I just buy the $1,400 dishwasher? To me, like, just buy the best one. The saleswoman there was quite knowledgeable. She was great. And she said, well, I would buy an LG or I would buy a Bosch. And so we narrowed it down. And they have an LG that was a $950 dishwasher for $500. I'm immediately suspect. I'm like, there must be a catch. Why is that? And she said they just run promotions now and then. And then I got into the decibel level, How many racks does it have? Is it the same size? All these different questions. Meanwhile, H says, look, we'll buy it for $500. What's the worst that happens? If we don't like it, we can buy another one eventually. But this one, it's got to be better than the junky, janky one we have that literally is 15 years old with buttons falling off and all the prongs on the drawers in there have been like burned, melted off. It was a total disaster. I agree. So we're in and out of there in like 15 minutes. I would have been there for 2 hours. And I'm really not embellishing. We told the woman that, and she thought that was quite amusing. She's worked there for 25 years. It said on her little badge. She was very efficient. I do trust her, but I would have been calling people. I would have been looking stuff up online. I don't know. I make decisions for other people all day, and for some reason, decisions like that stymie me, and I get down in the weeds, and who knows when I'm coming out. So the Lowe's came, brought it, but we didn't have the other one disconnected, so they have to come back to pick up the old one. We paid to have that taken away. Meanwhile, I have our plumber, and I really like this plumbing company. They're a bunch of guys from Brooklyn that own this company down here. It's individually owned by 3 guys, and they're all sort of like a little bit crusty. They have a Brooklyn accent. "Hey, lady, lady." They'll yell from the other end of the house, but I do like them. I find them honest, simple. So they sent this guy out today, and this is a guy I've never seen before because all the other guys literally look like they came out of a movie from Brooklyn. They're 65 years old and have a Brooklyn accent. This guy, younger, he looked like darker hair and probably like 40. I'm not a good judge of age. Anyway, he comes in, very efficient, man of few words, didn't want to discuss anything about my dishwasher story, which I appreciate. And gets the other dishwasher and I said, "Well, how are you going to get the other dishwasher out to the garage without scratching the floor?" And he said, "It's called a hand truck." I'm thinking, "Oh, you have one of those on your truck, do you?" And he said, "Yes, because I do this all the time. I'm a plumber." I thought that was kind of amusing. I don't really think he was trying to be funny. He gets it out, he gets the other one in. I hear him, working on it in there. So I go in to check on him and say, as I'm about to walk in, say, "How's it going? Any hookup issues?" And literally half of his butt is hanging out of his pants. Now, this is not a big man. This is an average size man. So what I'm trying to figure out is why have men never embraced like high-waisted jeans, like something that actually stays up on you, because you don't see this happening to women generally. Back in the days of the low-rise jeans, the Britney Spears era, yes, you would see that, but you don't see that anymore. Women have smartened up and I know low rise is in this year, but in general, you don't see a woman bend over to get something in the produce section with her butt hanging out. I mean, this was his back, then his butt, then his underwear, and then his pants way down low. Like, I'm sorry, I had to turn around and leave because I really couldn't engage with somebody at that point. The other thing is I don't love having service people in the house when nobody else is here. So I put a call into my neighbor across the street, said I had a guy coming to work here. Can you check in as things progress? Which I did. I checked in with him and said everything's good. He's leaving. And I don't know. After the whole Nancy Guthrie thing, I said everything is up for grabs. I feel like a lot of women don't feel safe, and especially having somebody you don't know in the house. I should have asked if it was one of the guys that's come before, because they're all the same and I really like them. They've been coming here for years. I feel comfortable with them, which may or may not be smart. I don't know. But I usually have somebody here when they're here, but I really wanted the dishwasher installed. He was efficient, and then he wanted a credit card, but then or a check. And I don't want to give people checks because I've had a check washed and tried to be cashed for thousands of dollars. So I gave him my credit card, but he puts it on the sheet that then who knows where that's going. So that's a whole nother investigation. Dishwasher in, crisis averted, and moving on to bigger things, which is the true crime world is exploding these days with so much going on that's why I had to come on and talk about it tonight. First thing, Nancy Guthrie. Sheriff Nanos is still being Sheriff Nanos in his worst form. One of the latest things that's happened is another woman named Nancy had gone missing. And meanwhile, they saw her leaving her car at 3:00. She was reported missing, and they found her by 7:50 p.m. This is all in Pima County where Nancy Guthrie went missing. And I think this was a total FU to news people, to the public, to everybody by Nanos and his organization by publishing this news release found with a picture of this woman, Nancy, and it just said, Nancy's been found with a found around. So you could quickly look at it and think, oh my God, Nancy Guthrie's been found. Everybody was duped by it. Meanwhile, this woman was only missing for 4 hours. And I don't know if anything bad happened to her. I'm not sure. But she was only missing for 4 hours, and we get that attention. To me, that was an FU from Nanos. Like, I'm sick of all you people. Well, we're sick of you, Sheriff Nanos, because now we're told that the DNA that they've had since February at the Florida lab, which is supposedly reputable, is now being sent to the FBI lab. Supposedly they can separate it out and extract it and divide it between the two people that are found in the DNA sample. Why not earlier? I mean, it's April. It's absolutely insane. And I think everybody's in the same boat. I saw some woman on Instagram today in her car who just looked into the camera and said, do you ever just think, what the hell happened to Nancy Guthrie? Like, it's just an incredible story. I don't think people are ever going to get over this. And I still think there's something suspect here. The whole thing with Savannah coming back and saying 2 of the ransom notes are real, and Harvey Levin at TMZ saying one of the ransom notes, or at least 2 of them, were probably real. The first one they're saying was asking for money. The second one they're saying it was an apology because she died. Now, I find that hard to believe that it was an apology. We don't have the exact wording of these ransom notes, but Savannah believed they were real. And Savannah is now back on the Today Show, which I think is probably the right thing for her. I don't know what she was supposed to keep doing in Arizona with Nanos not doing anything out there. And probably just frustrating. Her kids are in New York, her husband's in New York, so I get that's why she's back. What I don't get is why they had a ticker tape parade the day she came back. Yes, people should be excited for her, but I would think that she would want the focus to be finding her mother. Why are we not using NBC resources to find her mother? Wouldn't they have a segment every day, even if she's not in it, she's not on camera, talking about the latest updates? Leverage your resources. I would think you would do that. Just like if somebody worked for a newspaper or somebody worked for the mayor, somebody worked for the governor, that you would be bringing this attention to everybody. Still no press conference with the family, no joint press conference with the FBI and Nanos. So we're getting bits and pieces of information, which if they're hopefully, closing in on somebody, that's great. But no public media person from Pima County making any announcements. So you just have this vacuum where all the YouTubers are just making up stuff now. And you still have these crazy people on YouTube talking about the son-in-law. And I really don't think it had anything to do with them specifically. But there's still something very weird to me about the entire thing. The blood on the doorstep, the ransom notes, and now this additional ransom note that came out the day Savannah went back saying, for half a Bitcoin, they had seen Nancy, but now they know she's dead. They were only an eavesdropper on the kidnapping. They didn't participate. Who knows what is real? And as of today, they're talking about that there was activity in that Bitcoin account that was sent to TMZ. So they've been monitoring this account that was referenced in this ransom note, and there's been activity in it. So we don't know, did they pay it? Did the FBI pay it? Did Savannah's family pay it? I'm still going with a stalker and who wanted attention, and it went bad. There's other people that are totally convinced of the Epstein connection and that it was retribution for something, which is starting to actually make more sense, the retribution part. I don't know about the Epstein part, but the retribution part, because they obviously were so careless with her that something happened to her, because you could have taken her with all her medications, with somebody to take care of her. So here we are again, still frustrated. Supposedly they do have a chance of separating out this DNA, but it could take months. And a couple of the sleuths online, one being an ex-FBI agent, she has said she guessed 6 months to figure this out. And I can only hope that we do figure this out, because the family's got to be going through hell. Think about what the public feels about this, never mind the family. So that is where we are, which is nowhere with Nancy Guthrie. And Sheriff Nanos can step off after posting that post about Nancy found. I mean, that really is ridiculous. The other thing going on in true crime that is driving me crazy is there are so many things that, as a wife or girlfriend of men, you shouldn't be doing if you have any kind of inkling of dissatisfaction, whatever discord is going on in the relationship. We've always known that boat rides are perilous. Do not go out on a boat with somebody who's mad at you. That's just a rule, I think. How many datelines have we seen where, oh, she fell overboard. Oh, I went to sleep and I got up and she wasn't there. I don't know what happened to her. So boat rides have always been perilous, but now we extend it to the dinghy ride with this guy in the Bahamas, Brian Hooker, who claims that his wife, Annette, fell off the dinghy. They had sold all of their possessions. They moved from Michigan. They live on this boat in the Bahamas. I guess they were in the Bahamas at the time. I don't know where else they've been on the boat, but they've been doing this. They sold their possessions. They own this huge sailboat, a relatively huge sailboat with a dinghy that they go back and forth to shore. So they tied their sailboat up to this mooring, which is a mooring ball in the middle of the ocean hooked to an anchor. And then they went into this restaurant. According to the latest information, they had 2 drinks over a course of 4 hours. There's no evidence that they were in a fight, had any abnormal behavior, but then they supposedly got back in the dinghy. He claims it was almost sunset and that the moon hadn't risen yet, so it was getting dark, which would have been about 7:30. The evidence right now, according to cameras, shows that he left there at 6:30, or they left there at 6:30. So did they do something before they got in the dinghy? If you believe what he says, they got in the dinghy at dark. There were big waves in this. It's sort of like a Abaco Sea, it's called. It's in between these caves, so it's not the open ocean. It's protected and generally not rough, and certainly wouldn't have 3-foot swells. And if you got knocked off the dinghy, in some parts it's as shallow as 3 feet, 7 feet, high tide 10 feet, but very clear. So his story is that she got bounced off the dinghy. So this is what he had to say. And I'm just going to go out on record. In my opinion, he sounds his whole story sounds totally implausible. Not a fan of this guy. I think based on all the different reviews of things he's said and based on what some of her family has said about things he's done in the past, it's not looking good for him, in my opinion. So let's hear what he's had to say when he called somebody right after the incident. So again, they left this restaurant, were supposedly going in this little dinghy back to the sailboat, which was like a 5-minute dinghy ride. And the dinghy was a very tiny boat with a little outboard engine that had this key fob that you kept in it so that if you pulled the key fob out, the dinghy would stop. Ostensibly, that was for if there was one person in the dinghy and you fell out, the dinghy wouldn't keep going and drive away from you. He claims she was driving the dinghy and everybody says that wasn't a commonplace thing and that she got bounced out. He couldn't find her. And that was at 7:30 at night. He didn't come ashore on this K far away until 4 a.m. the next morning on the totally other side of where their boat was and where she supposedly fell out of the dinghy because he had a broken oar. She had the key and she had the dry bag with all of their IDs and passports in it, which that totally makes no sense. But this is what he said on one phone call.
The wind blew us apart so fast that I think she tried to swim back to the sailboat, back to our sailboat, which was probably, I don't know, 1,000 yards or something. But the waves were 3 foot, and I was trying to ship the oars, and one of the pins on the oars broke, and that dropped over the side. And I was yelling for her the whole time, and I yelled to her that I lost the oar, and I threw the anchor out and anchored the dinghy, and I yelled. I threw her a flotation cushion that we used to sit on the dinghy, right after she went in. But I couldn't tell if she got it or not. So after an hour of calling her, I never heard her voice. And a powerboat came by, and I waved my flashlight on my phone, and they were so fast they didn't even see it. And then there's another one came by right behind it, sort of 5 minutes behind it, and I had grabbed the flares by then. I had 2 flares, and they didn't see the flares, I guess.
So that was part of his rendition. He also texted other people. So that was his rendition. He also texted other friends and who turned over screenshots of their texts to the news organizations, different YouTube people, different news organizations, because the police were not looking into what they were telling them. So there's several things that are telling. First of all of your friends immediately within 24 hours think that you've done something wrong. And that's why they are sharing all this with news organizations without even questioning you even more. They already had heightened suspicion. Her daughter, who basically grew up with this guy as her stepfather, immediately said the story doesn't make sense. The way he told her was basically like, yeah, your mom fell off. I'm looking for her. And then left her another message saying, oh, I threw her the flotation device when she fell off the dinghy. And they found that. The Bahamian authorities held him for 72 hours, then released him. So it appears they're still investigating. He has a lawyer from the Bahamas. He was allowed to leave the Bahamas, which is somewhat surprising to me. I don't know what their level of investigation is there. But the daughter's suspicious. The daughter and her boyfriend went to the Bahamas to look into her final trace her final steps. He has a sordid history. He choked out his own daughter who lived with Annette's daughter back when they were a blended family. And that daughter, who was, I think, 12 at the time, they lost visitation rights with her, and she still does not speak to him. And what's amazing to me is that anybody would stay with a man who did that to a child. And it sounds like she had her own career, and to stay with a man when he's done that to a child, even if it's not your child, is unfathomable to me. I'm just going to say that. And people can be mad or not, but I think that's absolutely insane. And if I had a friend that was doing that, I would tell her so and try to support her to get out. But it sounds like she was in recent years, thinking about getting out and was telling her own mother, I'm going to leave, but then didn't leave. So I think she was torn by this guy. And this guy does not sound like an upstanding citizen from different reports. And at one point, he had told friends that he wanted to, throw her overboard because they had a lot of difficulties when they were first together all the time on this boat after having their own careers. He had gotten fired from his job at AT&T originally, and it wasn't clear if it was the boss's fault or his fault or a combo of those. And he's gone on to talk to different people. He's now clammed up because he realizes all the things he said to different people, including the guy that was trying to help him find her the next day when he was on the boat with him looking for her. He just said weird things. He didn't tell them she had a cover up on. He told them that she only had a bathing suit on. He said she had the key with her and she was driving the boat, which doesn't make sense because she probably wouldn't be driving the boat if it were bad conditions. And there are people saying they were out at that same time. The conditions weren't bad. He says he shot off some flares. Nobody saw flares in the area. That water is so clear that if she were in there, they're saying they would have found her already. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say my opinion, my theory is that something happened on land or at the big boat, and then he took her somewhere afterwards and made this the story. That when they left the restaurant, they went somewhere else or back to the boat. Something happened then and between then and when he was found. Supposedly, they do have a track of him going way over to this other K, which doesn't make any sense based on his story. If she fell overboard and the current swept her away, why wouldn't the dinghy be swept in the same direction? How would he go reverse course? And if he could, why would he not go to one of the closest islands or Ks right there versus going, 4 times the distance? There's a psychiatrist, Samantha Beningo, who's on I Don't Belong Here. She has a YouTube show and she analyzes who she thinks is telling the truth based on how they say things and their mannerisms. And she's dissected all of his statements, and all of the things he's saying lead her to believe that he's being deceptive. He says things like, I guess she says when you're telling a story, that you're really thinking about it in your mind, you're remembering it about it in your mind, and you're saying things that you remember. So some of it you may not remember perfectly, but since you're not making it up, you're not using the same verbiage you do if you were making it up, which is basically she did this and, all the different words and intonations he was using. Plus he's saying, now that I've been released, I'm going to stay and find her. And then he leaves the island immediately. None of it makes sense. And everybody's saying it doesn't make sense. So I'm hoping the Bahamian authorities have somebody that can look into this story. I hope we have some more video that shows what happened between that last drink they had when they left this restaurant and walked toward the dinghy and afterward, because there are a lot of boats out there and it wasn't dark yet. It didn't get dark until after 7:30. Um, and, if she did fall off the dinghy, she was supposedly a very strong swimmer. And why did he throw her the flotation cushion that they sat on as a cushion versus the life jackets that were in the boat? And why couldn't he put his life jacket on and go save her? He was supposedly an avid swimmer too. So none of this is making sense. I don't know. I think she's reported to have had life insurance, and now he's going on the defensive against her daughter, who is suspicious of him, by saying she's had mental health issues and really trying to take her out, which is extremely despicable. This girl, at a minimum, has lost her mother, and now you're saying she has mental health issues. Maybe he's the one with mental health issues, in my opinion. So that story is crazy. I just don't think that's what happened. I think something happened somewhere else, and he's covering it up with this cockamamie story, which is infuriating, and her mother is not buying it either. And they've been on different shows and he's not speaking. So I don't know if the FBI can get involved. You can be prosecuted in the US for a murder that takes place outside of the US. I'm not sure what the rules are in that and if the FBI can get involved in the investigation. So I'm hoping they can, even though they haven't solved Nancy Guthrie. Hopefully they can solve this one. The one that recently ended in a guilty verdict, was the doctor in Hawaii. He was convicted of trying to kill his wife on a hike. So don't go on a hike, don't go on a boat, don't go in a dinghy. And he planned this trip. They lived on Maui. They went to Oahu for a vacation. He'd planned this hike, and she claims that, and two witnesses saw this, that he tried to push her off this cliff on the hike and then hit her with a rock because she was having an affair, and he had found messages on WhatsApp on her phone and had been monitoring them, and he was mad. And so these two women come upon them as he's striking her with a rock. She's screaming that he must see them, and he goes away. They're, obviously scared too. The victim, Ariel, the wife, is bloodied. They help her. They see the police cam. He runs away. He calls his son from his first marriage and says, basically, I just tried to kill your stepmother. And she also claims that he tried to inject her with a syringe of something. He's an anesthesiologist by training. And most people think that he was guilty. He was convicted, but of a crime of passion, basically, versus premeditation. So he's going to get less time for that. So the jury seemed to believe that they had an altercation. He got mad, did something he shouldn't do, and should be put in prison for that. This Samantha Beningo, also of the I Don't Belong Here podcast, went through it all, and very unpopular opinion and against the grain of everybody else on YouTube, thinks that Ariel, the wife, was making it up and that he was truthful, that she actually tried to push him and he was defending himself and hit her with a rock because she grabbed his crotch. His story is she grabbed his crotch, he was defending himself after, and hit her with a rock, but only hit her twice. And that she hit him with a rock, tried to push him off. And everybody believed her, apparently, or it seems to believe her. I don't know. I thought from the beginning that he's, based on the fact that he called his own son, ran away, all these different things, that he was guilty. But after listening to the analysis and going back to listen to her testimony, I think she might be lying about some things. They had a lot of crossover testimony, but I do think maybe she was. So Regardless, the hikes are very dangerous. And the newest case is a woman out of Oakland, California, owns coffee shops, 2 coffee shops, went on a walk with her dog, supposedly brought the dog back, put the dog in the house, and then went missing. She's been missing since, I think, March 25th, so almost a month. The husband does not seem to be a suspect. She left daughters. He's claiming that she's had some depression, mental health struggles, but there's a full-on search for her. Nothing has come up. Supposedly somebody saw her somewhere shortly after she would have dropped the dog off, but people are claiming that she would have never left her daughters, and they're trying to make sense of it. It's eerily reminds me of the Lacey Peterson saga back when Scott Peterson was convicted of murdering his pregnant wife. She had gone on a dog walk, and the dog was found walking around the neighborhood. She wasn't found until weeks later. Her body was found, and the baby's body was found in the Bay, San Francisco Bay. So hopefully that's not what happens here. And there are people that do just take up and leave. But it doesn't sound like she would be one of them. So those are the cases we're talking about now. Some exciting stuff coming up this weekend, a couple events I'm going to, line dancing, and then also a charity cruise for the library. It's on a quote unquote yacht. I'm not sure what that means in this case. So that should be fun. The weather's supposed to be nice. And based on my experience today with the plumber, I'm going to leave you with a couple of thoughts. The one thought I'm going to leave you with is back at the early part of American Idol. So this is in 10. I didn't realize it was that long ago. There was a very old or much older gentleman that came on, and I think you have to be under 30 to try out. And if you remember back when it first started, they had people that were horrible come on and sing, and they made fun of people. I don't think they do that anymore, but back then that was the shtick they did. So speaking of the plumber is what this is a guy that was on in 2010.
Ready?
1, 2, 3.
Pants on the ground, looking like a fool with your pants on the ground, with the bowl in your mouth, hat turned sideways, pants hit the ground. Call yourself a cool cat, looking like a fool, walking downtown with your pants on the ground. Giddy up. Hey, get your pants off the ground, looking like a fool, walking, talking with your pants on the ground. Giddy up.
So that was him. So we always say when we see anybody with those low riding pants, looking like a fool with your pants on the ground. And that's where we'll leave it tonight. We'll be back with more updates on all of our pending cases. And be careful out there. Remember, no hikes, no boat rides, no dinghies, and be careful walking the dog if somebody's mad at you. See ya.